Thanks for that disclaimer, Robin. So welcome again, everyone. I'm super excited about this show. This is like where childhood dreams come true. And when Robin and I were thinking about putting this together, we didn't know how it was going to come together, but in true fashion, in the Purple Paradigm way, the Army has stood up and we are here tonight. So welcome, welcome. I'm going to just introduce who we have with us tonight. I'm going to read their bios. Forgive me if I skip over certain parts, but I want to make sure that everybody gets covered and heard. So bringing us into the session was DJ Monday Blue. Thank you, DJ Monday Blue, for blessing us with the sounds. Monday Blue is a Brooklyn-based DJ, fluent in digital and vinyl, with over 6 years experience spinning music that moves and motivates diverse crowds. The 2018 Pulitzer Prizes DJ, pre-pandemic Monday Blue could be found playing in venues in Brooklyn, House of Yes, Ota Babel, Jupiter Disco, and Manhattan Blind Barbara and Paper Daisy, founder and resident DJ of Dionysus of Disc, a monthly vinyl party featuring all women DJs held at Brooklyn's premier vinyl bar, Bare Wax. Monday Blue flows easily in the digital realm. However, her heart beats with vinyl. She's a purist. All right. You get to listen to her and play her favorite wax live on the Face Radio, thefaceradio.com, every Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And follow your bliss with Monday Blue and twitch.tv/DJ Monday Blue. Thank you, DJ Monday Blue. Thank you so much. So this episode is dedicated to the family, aka fDeluxe, aka our hearts, the first band ever produced on Paisley Park Records. I'm going to read through the bios a little bit of the members of the family, and then we're going to get right into it. So leading us off, we have Susannah Melvoin. Susannah Melvoin grew up in a Los Angeles-based musical family, the daughter of legendary jazz composer, pianist, and longtime Norris president Michael Melvoin. Singing from the early age of 8, she got her first taste of professional recordings as a child jingle singer for television and radio. By her late teens, she was working as a session singer in Los Angeles for David Geffen. Some of her earliest sessions at age 17 were alongside R&B star James Ingram and Donna Summer for the legendary Quincy Jones, who subsequently employed Susannah as a staff singer and as a member of his newly created R&B a cappella group that included Saida Garrett. She met Prince in 1983 via longtime family friend Lisa Coleman, keyboardist for The Revolution, and her twin sister guitarist Wendy Melvoin. She was soon enlisted full-time as a staff vocalist for all his side projects and as a co-lead vocalist for a new group he put together called The Family. Susannah then joined the expanded Prince and Revolution touring as a backup singer. She contributed to numerous successful albums during that time, including Around the World in a Day, Parade, Sign of the Times, the Black Album, and the Black Albums, and Crystal Ball, The Dream Factory, and numerous B-sides to Prince's single releases. Additionally, her co-write of the quirky Starfish and Coffee. She later became vocalist and band member for Wendy and Lisa for albums such as Fruit of the Bottom and Eroica and Girl Brothers and Eroica and Girl Brothers. In 2011, Susannah and the family reformed as fDeluxe, and in 2013, they had the monumental privilege of performing with twin sister Wendy Melvoin, D'Angelo, Elvis Costello, Maya Rudolph, and more at Carnegie Hall in New York City for a Questlove produced event for underprivileged New York City area public schools. Most recently, Susannah has toured with Prince's band The Revolution off and on throughout 2016-2018 with her own band fDeluxe / The Family. Susannah's latest endeavor is co-creator and executive producer for children's animated show based on Starfish and Coffee and the Wonderful Life of Cynthia Rose, in collaboration with the Jim Henson Company, executive producers Susan Montford and Don Murphy of Angry Film Productions, in development right now. Welcome, Susannah. How are you? Looking beautiful, sis.
I'm exhausted after that. Thank you.
Yeah, look, let me tell you something. When you work hard like that, you get to hear all of your bio read. Okay, that's you.
The doctor's in the house. Thank you. I feel better. Reminding me who I am.
That's right. Look, you've done a lot, and we appreciate you for it. Also joining us tonight, everyone, we have St. Paul Peterson. So Prince discovered Prince discovered Paul Peterson, aka St. Paul, at the age of 17. He enlisted him as a keyboard player in the time for the movie Purple Rain. Paul took the lead vocalist spot in the Prince-produced group The Family before becoming a solo artist and scoring his hits for MCA and Atlantic Records. St. Paul has recorded, toured, or written with the Steve Miller Band, Peter Frampton, Daryl Hall, Prince, George Benson, Oleta Adams, The Corrs, Kenny Loggins, and Morris Day and the Time, to name a few. His band fDeluxe, formerly known as The Family, is celebrating the 30th anniversary of their Prince-produced record with a few select shows around the country. Paul has recently put together St. Paul and the Minneapolis Funk All-Stars, consisting of musicians and producers who helped create the Minneapolis sound that we love so much. Welcome, St. Paul.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little disappointed I didn't write a longer bio.
Let me tell you, you gotta connect with Susannah and make sure you get every detail in there. I just want to let you guys know that Robin gave me this privilege. He goes, "You're gonna read the bios." I'm like, "Thanks." It's a privilege, though. So good to see you. And I love the family album strategically placed behind you, Paul. That's.
I didn't do that. Is that what's?
It's like strategic. Is that rich man behind you? Let me tell you.
Oh,
it's on the other side.
Yeah, it's back there somewhere.
It's back there somewhere.
That was one of my COVID projects, is to paint the basement and finally hang some artwork. So
it's looking great, man. I love it.
Thank you.
Love it.
Good creative space.
So also joining us tonight is to blow your horn, Eric Leeds. Eric, I'm so excited that you're here. Eric Leeds, born in Milwaukee. Eric Leeds spent most of his formative years in Pittsburgh. He first picked up the saxophone at age 11, soaking up a wide spectrum of R&B, Latin music, and jazz, with an emphasis on the latter. In the early 80s, he relocated to Atlanta, and then during a trip to Minneapolis, he was introduced to Prince. Impressed by Eric's saxophone style, Prince offered him a spot in the lineup. The result was The Family, and featured the top 10 single, The Screams of Passion. Leeds went on to work in the studio and on stage with Prince, including 4 worldwide tours and performances on Parade, Sign of the Times, Love Sexy, and Batman. The eventual result of all this music interplay was another prestigious venture, Madhouse. The group's 2 instrumental albums featured not only Leeds' propulsive jazz playing on tenor and baritone saxes and flute, but his writing and arranging as well. When it became evident that what was to be the 3rd Madhouse album was turning into a vehicle for Eric's own musical imagination, he set about creating what would become a genuine showcase of his talents. And Eric, you don't mention Times Square in here, but Eric also has his own album, Times Square. It's one of my favorites. Welcome, Eric.
That's 3 or 4 my own. Thank you. How are you?
I'm well. How you doing?
Good.
Good. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Jerome Benton is here. Jerome is a musician, actor, and playwright who has enjoyed a 40-year career in entertainment, working as a vital creator and hype man for legendary moments in music and film. Jerome and his brother Terry Lewis grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. His teenage years were spent around music with future cultural icons, including Terry James, Jimmy Jam Harris III, Morris Day, and Prince. Jerome was a member of The Time and was a featured character in the movie Purple Rain. As The Time disbanded, Jerome was recruited by Prince to appear in his next band, The Family. During this time, Jerome was offered a co-lead with Prince in the film Under the Cherry Moon. So please take off your mutes and let's welcome in The Family fDeluxe. It's so great to have you guys here.
Woo! Woo! Wonderful!
Yay!
Yay!
It is an honor and a privilege to read your bios. This episode means a lot. Definitely when Robin and I came together around creating the Purple Paradigm, you were on the list immediately. And to have this moment is a dream come true. So I'm going to enjoy standing in the vision and what it looks like and sounds like and feels like. So we have a few questions for you. So the platform of the Purple Paradigm is all about bringing the Purple Army to the stage. And so it's not just about what Robin and I are doing. This is really a family-driven show, literally in this case today. So we have questions from us, but we also have questions from the audience. So Purple Army, you know how we do. Please start lighting up the chat. Robin did send out a survey asking for questions, but here's your opportunity to light up the chat. And given time, we will figure out ways in which to have you talk to the family as well. So we're gonna get started. And Robin, you wanna start us off?
Well, I do have the mission statement, but we could do that.
Yes,
later.
the mission statement. Yes, please do. That's let the family.
Jerome is having a cow because first, I just want to thank everybody for showing up, even though it's the Super Bowl. And I forgot about the fact that Jerome is a big big sports guy, obviously a
He
football
played
player.
football in high school. We should have known better.
He's a coach.
So I think that what we should probably do is get into the questions, and after we get into some questions, we can do the mission statement. The mission statement is basically my love letter to the four of you. So, you know, but we'll get into that later. Let's get into the questions. Okay. So my first question actually for each of you is, I know in Susannah's bio, she talked a little bit about what she's working on, but I want to know from each of you, especially in these times that we are in, COVID times, like what are the things that you are working on and what have you been doing to keep creative during this crazy time? So each one of you, whoever wants to go first.
Go ahead, Jerome. Come on, man.
Are you muted, Jerome? How come we can't hear you?
Yeah, I can't hear Jerome.
Jerome, we can't hear you. Are you muted? It doesn't look like he's muted.
Yeah, your mic's not working for some reason.
Your mic's not working, Jerome. We can't hear you.
No, he's.
Nope.
Nope.
Hmm.
Paul, why don't you go ahead? You're the busy one.
And I just want to honor the fact that Paul is wearing a Jelly Bean Johnson shirt.
I am wearing a Jelly Bean Johnson shirt.
Yes. So
Glad
Jelly
you
Bean couldn't
noticed.
be with us tonight, but
I
he's
think-
here in spirit. I love the fact that Paul is representing. That's what's up. So the band is complete. Very good. Very good.
They gotta represent him. So here's what. Hi, everybody. By the way, thank you so much for gathering us together. We don't do this enough. I actually had the family fDeluxe on my show, Music on the Run. It's a podcast that I have. That's what's been keeping me busy. Came out about a year ago. It's a fun platform for me to interview my friends and my heroes and talk about how they survive life on the road, how they stay healthy physically, mentally, with their relationships and their business. And it's been really fun. I also have a series called Funk Friday. It's a 1-minute jam I put out every single week. I am coming up on the 50th one, believe it or not.
Amazing. I know, it's amazing.
On the 19th. And I just so the Purple family knows, there have been over 85 musicians on Funk Friday. And I gathered a lot of them together. We pre-taped a show a couple of days ago in order to celebrate the 50th anniversary or episode, I should say. But what we're doing is we're raising money for Crew Nation. Crew Nation is a division of Live Nation, and they've set up a platform for people in the road crew to get grants because, of course, there's no tours happening now. So if you would mark your calendars for that and come on over to Music on the Run on Facebook, we're going to broadcast it there. But we're raising money. We're going to have a nice online auction. But that's been keeping me busy, and I'm working on a record. And there you go.
That's awesome. Paul, make sure if we can get that, put that in the chat so we can memorialize that and promote it for you.
Great. That would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paul seems to be the guy that keeps himself really creative more than anybody I think I know, really.
Okay.
Kind of astounding.
It's fun I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have something to do. So.
Well, it's crazy. You just make it happen. I don't know how but you've always managed to do that. I, on the other hand, raising, 2 kids in quarantine and in a state that's just on fire with this thing. And the year has been really tough. I lost my mom to this crazy virus. So there's a whole weight to it. But finding your way and trying to be creative through all of this. I mean, I'm sitting here in my room. It's my yoga room, and I've been practicing yoga for 30 years. But that seems to be the thing that has saved me. I am working on a children's animated TV show that I am co-creator and executive producing. It keeps me busy because there's a lot of writing. There's a lot of just mental creative stuff that you have to do on a daily basis, which is really, I find that if I can't be in the studio, if I'm not performing, that it's keeping me incredibly creative, and it's something I really love, and it's a project that I really love. But I do miss performing and singing and writing and being in the studio a lot. I mean, it seems to be the thing that is elusive right now for me. I wish that we were all, I don't even know when it's all going to happen again. It's so uncertain, this whole industry right now. I don't know where any of it fits in. So it's kind of remarkable that Paul is as creative as he is. He's about the only person I know. I mean, even with really, there are some people that are just generating a lot of work just because they have the financial wherewithal and they have their own studios and they have, they just seem to keep busy. But the paradigm has shifted, like it's all shifted so dramatically that it's hard for any of us to find for me, it's hard to project into the future what it's going to look like or how we're going to do this or how any of us feel that we can stay creative, because our skill set we're musicians, we're players, we're singers, we're writers, we're performers, and this is the industry that's taken such an extraordinary hit. And I hate to bring this all down, but like in terms of what we do for a living and how we offer ourselves, it's not there right now. And there's no support system. There's no government funds that go like, we're going to make sure that the arts don't collapse, that the institution of what we are as artists will continue to flourish. None of it's happening. It's just basically, find your way, figure it out, find a way to do this again. How do you do it? And when you're in your 50s, it's like, okay, how do we find ourselves again? Well, we all try and get together and figure something out. Paul has figured something out that's beautiful, and it's a great opening into offering himself. But for some of us, it's like, we're counting the minutes, like, well, when is this going to be over? And then how do we end up actually making it happen? So we find other things to do to keep creative. I mean, as a producer and as a writer and a creator of something, and I'm just doing that. I just do that, and here I am. Sorry to bring that down, but
no,
it's
not at all. I mean, Susannah, so
sort of like how to stay creative when creativity is the sort of the catchphrase. It's like creative. How do we stay creative when we're locked in to a situation where there's no financial net, it's just basically drop you off, figure it out. And it's like, well, wait a minute, we've been doing it this way for so many years and now it's done, gone. Forget
Sounds like what I've been doing for 40 years.
You think that's how it's been for you in quarantine, trying to figure it all out?
Well, I have a new project. It's a solo project, and we perform every day for 2 hours at least every day.
Right.
And the audience is very select. It's an invited audience only. It's one person.
Is it you?
That's me.
Yeah.
Because in this room, I play my horn for 2 or 3 hours every day. I don't have to hear shit from the audience. I don't have to take requests. I don't have to all that bullshit.
I love it.
I understand everything I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's perfect. The only problem is there's a lot of argument in the band.
Is there? I thought, is everything cool to this gig?
Other than that, everything's cool. So,
Awesome.
My life has changed. My life has changed very different because, as Paul has pointed out, I don't like people. So this gives me a great excuse for staying home, and I don't have to deal with any of you all. So go to hell, all of you. I'm fine. Right?
I love you,
Ladies
Eric.
and gentlemen, Eric Gleaton.
Your age is showing.
I love it. We knew we are, but Eric, that's why we want you on the show. This is exactly why we want you on the show. I've seen you in interviews. You're awesome, man, and very funny.
All right, bye. Good night.
Go back to
See you.
I do want to go back to Susannah for a minute. So Susannah, I just want to, and somebody wrote it in the chat, my deepest condolences on the loss of your mom. I want to acknowledge that because I know that loss, and that's a painful one. And two, the second thing I want to offer to you as you were talking, and I'm so glad you're here tonight. As Robin and I have done this show and we've had people on, one thing that's come up often is the knowledge that, yeah, we know we were impactful, but how impactful, you don't always know. And I get it, because we're all, I love the quote, be kind to everyone you meet, because everybody you meet is fighting a battle of some sort. And what I want to offer to you is like, if you guys created something, people would run. We've been doing this our 6th episode, and we've averaged, I would say, anywhere from maybe 70 to 85 people registering. This has been our largest registration since we started the show. And it's not lost on me, it's because of who the guests are. So it's hard at times within this space to create, but as a creative, it's always available. And some of the best feedback I got last year, and this is why I'm doing this show even, was that you're holding your audience up by not showing up. And, I love the fact that Paul is doing the podcast, and I hold space for you to show up because the audience will come. I'm clear on that. And I'm so glad you're here tonight and shared that story, because all too often we don't think about the struggle of the artists in this season. But the truth is, I'm an educator in New York. I'm a superintendent of schools in New York here, and I do push on the arts to make sure that they are vibrant in schools. But I'm very clear that in this last year, the arts have been a savior for many people. So whether you were Netflixing and chilling, or listen to music, or watching Verses, or whatever your story was, it was through the arts that many people, including myself, was able to survive. So, as a sister to sister, I just want to just say that to you as you were talking, because there is a space waiting, and the audience clearly wants to hear.
Thank you for that reminder, because it is very, very true that, and even in my own case, that in this very isolated period of time, the things that we're going to, the feel good stuff is like, we'll sit down and binge watch something on Netflix with our kids, to, like teaching I've got a young daughter who loves film, and we've been watching every great film pretty much ever made since silent films. Turner Classic Movies, and watching those with my kids, and then turning them on to like the Godfather series, and like, Citizen Kane, and like those are kinds of things I do.
Don't forget Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Well, outer space is everything.
But I'm just saying, and then the kids listening to great music together. Though that's not lost on me. That's absolutely. I think that I've compartmentalized an experience as a creator myself, like how to maximize when, like when you don't have the revenue, or you're not plugged into the thing, to the source that sustained you so that you can continue to be creative, becomes a fight. It becomes really difficult. We don't, some people think, oh, you must have so much, in your bank account, or you're all so wealthy and you have everything and you can just do it and like it's all good. That's not the case. It's a fleeting reality, like that just comes and goes, and we're all hustling just like the next guy, but we're also trying to find our creative spark through it. And if I were 21, and here's another thing, like if I were 21, I'd be like, screw it all. I don't care. I'm just gonna just like plow away. It's just the way it is. But like mom, 2 kids, 50s, also a musician, there's a whole list of things that shadow the movement forward. And then the virus comes and it says, you're not only not going to do it, but you're stuck at home and you got to figure something else out. So with that said, I honor everything. I do. I love the fact that we as this band can come out here, and there are people that are there with open arms and open ears, like, bring it on, we're ready. So are we. We are too. It does.
And open pockets, open wallets.
Well,
I'm telling you.
That's it's beautiful. And Paul, we've talked about it many times, like, when are we going to get back in? And it's just like, we've got to figure, it's a whole other way of doing it. So it's like figuring out how to do it, how to make it happen, and then getting on the road and going and performing. That's a whole other thing. It's like, it's just, maybe I'm just poo-pooing it and saying it's all really hard. It's hard. it is hard because the pragmatic side of it is getting it all up and off and running and having a life of its own is a whole other thing, and I'm up for it, but it's just been, keeping the gates of creativity open through it all has been a challenge for sure. But
Thank you for that.
Doctor, I have absolutely, my heart is a reminder that you're all out there, and that, I see it sometimes on my social media feeds. I love the people that support us and support me. So I get it. And I'm appreciative and honored to be a part of any historical time that means something to somebody. So
yeah, I'm excited. I'm like listening to you, and I'm really inspired listening to you. And all my friends who are on here, like more, like people are texting me, like, I know your wheels are turning, Maury, and they are.
yeah.
It's not only historical. There's a future, and I look forward to talking to you more about that.
Well, I'm open to all the talking about all of it, and I love these guys. These men here are incredibly important to me and important to my history, and I don't deny that at all. I mean, we created something with somebody who's not here, who brought something to this group of people to I don't think that's really what I meant to say, but I think what I'm trying to say is, like, we know what we brought to it. We know why Prince brought us together. We know what we did to make this thing happen. And we've never denied it in any way. We felt really strongly that we all had a really powerful place in this. And, that's why we did another record. That's why we did the Gaslight record. And we all felt very, I don't know about convinced of it, but we felt like we had a solid place as musicians and as creators and writers, and someone that, playing off of our history, we know it meant something, and we're honored by it. We wouldn't have done it otherwise.
Can I just ask, my husband's also a musician, and he actually works for a venue. So he hasn't been able to go to work in quite some
froze,
time.
Robin.
I froze? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you did. We can see you. You're moving now.
All right. My internet connection is unstable. That's good. There's a big snowstorm in New York, so I don't know. Hopefully we'll be able to finish. Maybe we'll get to go watch the Super Bowl sooner than we think, Jerome.
It's not snowing in LA.
Jerome's like,
I think Jerome wanted to say something, Robin. So before you tell your Sammy story.
Well, I was just going to say that, like, one of the things that he's been able to sort of make some money from is teaching or online. And, like, what about virtual concerts? Like, is that something that is, like...
You do that. It's, and they isolate everybody in rooms, and then they do this kind of like Zoom. Like, Paul does it with his Funk Fridays. I mean, he gets a group of musicians, and they set their cameras up, and they, and it's sort of gridded off, and they play. That's great. I mean, that's an alternative for sure. Yeah. It's an alternative.
It's a great alternative, but you got to remember what we came through. We came from a situation of the best of live and presence.
Yeah, I know.
Of course.
And Zoom TV, it's good for what we're doing now. It's not good for concerts.
I know.
It's not, it's just an alternative, but it doesn't, there's nothing like going, like, I am so excited about when this is all over and we're all at our first concert. For me, it's like, I can't wait to go to an Underworld concert and just dance all night long, and like under the stars at the Hollywood Bowl, and just one big party and everybody's freaking out. I cannot wait, like roaring 20s right back and freaking out with your neighbor who you have the music in common, and you're just freaking out and having the best time dancing. I can't wait for that. Zoom could never bring that, right, Roma? You can't have this visceral experience of going to a live concert.
Yeah, just seeing people and being near people and feeding into that energy.
Well, it's impersonal.
Yeah.
When we were brought up through the organization, Prince made everything personal to his fans. And we garnered that same thing. And you can't replace it with television. You can't. You can't.
So what do we do?
We wait and we get ready.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm going to be out of this house so fast.
Like Susannah said earlier, Paul's doing a great thing. He's taking advantage of his creativity that he's learned from loving what he does.
Yeah. Well, let me explain a little bit. You're right, Jerome. The thing about Funk Friday is that it was quite honestly a way to get people from my music side over to the podcast side. It has become a whole different thing. And personally, for me, it's become such an important part of my survival throughout this COVID period. I have one of the incredibly beautiful side effects of this particular series is that I get to play with my friends, my family. I'm expanding the people I'm playing with because they're home and they're saying, yes, I want to play. I'm like,
they want
great,
to
cool. And I have gained some incredibly beautiful friends through this little series that I didn't think much of. And it's not the same. Jerome, you're absolutely right. I mean, it doesn't replace what we do. It's in addition to what we do. And it keeps me sharp and it keeps me creating. And to me, that's important. It keeps me busy because
keeps you relevant.
Is a very bad thing. What, Rome?
Keeps you relevant.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, and Zenzi, I saw you made a comment in the chat. You want to come on?
Yeah, I really, I've been a fan since the beginning. What I appreciate is, this platform would not exist without COVID, for what it's worth. It's wonderful. I would not have been able to, meet you guys, quote unquote, face to face and hear stories that, whatever magazine, didn't report. And I also know, I've seen people create. I've seen, one of my favorite artists, Eric Roberson, he created an entire concert. His band obviously can't be there physically with him, but, they made it work. Like he had these little windows, like little virtual windows. I love the creativity and I love how there are people saying, you know what, we can't have an audience, we can't go out, but this is what we can do. We can do this instead, as opposed to just kind of like, well, No,
it's true. Giving up is not a really relative option for when it's the only skill set you have. Yeah. Your only skill set is what as being a musician. It's not like, well, actually I can run a Fortune 500 right now. That's actually not a problem. It's not, that's not what I could do.
Yeah.
What I do is all musical and I, as a musician and a writer and a singer, that's what I do. So to say, no, it's never going to happen again, that would just be defeating. I mean, it might as well just give up.
Yeah.
But I have yet to figure out really what's going to be the thing that's going to change this all, so that the conduit, it's open. It's like, now it all makes sense. This is where it belongs, and this is where it's going to be the most creative, and we're all going to be okay.
And I thank you guys for being open enough to kind of expand and kind of have these forums. I really appreciate that. I am witnessing something amazing. I would have never guessed I could do this, 5 years ago.
That's true. Yeah. Zoom, we're going to talk to a bunch of people on camera and it's going to all work out like this. And we can actually engage. Like, that's fantastic. It's actually a beautiful thing. But again, it's like, for people like us, I take Paul out of it, although because Paul is finally sound like a crack in the pavement, like where light can come through. He's found there's like, it's working. This isolation's working for him. I can't say, I don't know about Rome, and I don't know about Eric. I mean, Eric plays.
It's working for me just fine. I'm sorry.
I'm flowing with it. Whatever it does, it does. You know, and
Jerome, what are you working on these days? What are you up to these
ready
days?
to get to. I'm still sitting around writing, and I have a webisode that I'm getting ready to start shooting. I just recently found a cinematographer that I'm gonna work with, a videographer, and got a real cool concept that I'm gonna put together. Is based in Minneapolis and Los Angeles. It deals with some elements of likeness of Curb Your Enthusiasm and House of Lies. A real cool vibe. I got an element for some of the live music stuff in Minneapolis. You know, we all have kids that are involved in this music game. Got a little platform inside that project that gives a nice little presentation for them. I have a comedy short skit show that I'm doing. I have a lot of stuff going on. As everyone knows, and people who have followed me over the last, 15, 20 years, since I stepped away from being on the road constantly, that I like writing a lot. I have an amazing writing partner. His name is Zalunga Adele. He worked with Norman Lear for years, editing a lot of his shows. My playwriting formed with him overseeing me doing it. Prince put me in a great position to understand what my creativity and the aspects of me pursuing it and becoming successful to be. And I'm carrying that with me and working hard at it. I'm older now. So a lot of nonsense that production people want to entertain me with, I'm not entertained by it. So I cut ties with people that aren't serious as I am, or as serious. So I keep it moving.
So Jerome,
and I want to shout out to my girls, Jill and Tanya.
Hey, Jill and Tanya. Tanya, thank you, Tanya. I don't know Jill. Hi, Jill. How are you?
Hi, Jill. I don't see her. Wait, but
I saw Tanya earlier.
Jill's here. Yes, thank you to both of you because Jerome, we were able to get Jerome through the two of you.
Yeah, so thank you so much, ladies. We greatly appreciate it.
Ladies,
well, I'm gonna tell y'all it's Super Bowl time, and y'all effing with my time.
Exactly. We appreciate you, Jerome. We love you, Jerome.
I didn't cuss.
Robin,
thank you, Jerome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Jerome.
Thank you.
Y'all might have some cheering running around lower level of the camera. So
my daughter is in the room. Yes.
Mine is in bed, I
think. See, I do it. You look like you have babies.
I do. I have two awesome kids. You know you got great kids when they.
What's up, Eric? What's up, Susannah? What's up, Paul? My mic is working now.
Yeah, yes, it is.
I paid the light bill.
Jerome, are you leaving us now? Because I do have a question for you.
Okay, what's the question?
Thank you, Jerome. Appreciate you, brother. You. So take us back for a moment. So you do Purple Rain. You're in Purple Rain. You are on I'm sure you're a part of the Purple Rain tour. So I'm going back now because where's Rachel when I need her? Because she was there. I did not make I was really small when this happened, but I do remember this time period. And you transition from the family, you get into Under the Cherry Moon. Can you just talk to us a little bit about what was the conversation with Prince like when he was like, I'm starting this band and I want you in it. And then you make this transition to be, Tricky in Under the Cherry Moon, which is actually my favorite Prince film. That is my favorite one. I love watching that movie. So you just talk to us about that time, that journey, like that 1984, 85, 86.
Well, we had just finished Purple Rain, Morris made his dramatic exit after the last song that we recorded, and the band was broke up. So Prince decided he wanted to bring me in to his lair, and went on tour with him, and did special appearances out there, you know, running out and doing the bird with him, and a couple of different other little choreographed moments with him. And then he said, I'm putting a band together, and we're going to use Paul. And Susannah's going to be in the lead as well. And you're in it too. It's going to be partly your band. And Jelly Bean, if he comes back, he's going to be in it. So things moved so fast back then. Prince had ideas that you couldn't keep up with him. You could not keep up with him. But they all turned out to be gold. So, yeah.
And did you have to audition for Under the Cherry Moon, or was it like a given that like you're gonna be my partner? When I watch Under the Cherry Moon, I have to just say this. Like, I know Prince was a big Billy Wilder fan. I see Some Like It Hot so clearly when I watch Under the Cherry Moon. It's funny, the black and white.
Yeah, Susannah.
No, I have to say, no, I know firsthand what that was all. The Philadelphia Story is what influenced him.
Oh, the Philadelphia Story. Okay.
Yeah, I was casted. I was chosen to be Tricky. I was chosen to be Tricky. We were on the road and we were having fun, and some of the stuff that ended up in Under the Cherry Moon were some of the antics and some of the scenarios that happened while we were on the road enjoying life. You know, we had an amazing situation there. You know, Prince was at the top of his game. Limos, cars, wine, first class flights, all of that stuff. And Prince had an idea and he put it together. And with me being around him, he just picked up on things that I would do, and he incorporated them into the script.
So what's your favorite memory from that time?
As well as some of the antics that when we would go out and have dinner, he would turn some of those scenarios in, because I love life, and I'm not going to be too serious all the time. I'm going to enjoy the moment. Right. You know, like the record store scene. The record store scene was real.
Yeah, that was real.
Well, wait a minute. You know, that's how he came up to me when I got the gig in the time, right?
He used a record store line on you?
That is the first thing he said to me. He came up to me and I was scared, of course. He wrote down wreck a stove. And he did the whole routine to me for real.
Yep. And we were having dinner, and we were being introduced to Kristen Scott Thomas at a high-end restaurant in France. And she's sitting there, and she was coming across really pompous, and I was irritated by that, because I was like, I gotta sit here with her when I could be out chasing some fine French women, some beautiful Bon Appetit women. So I started just going back and forth with her, and she started bantering with me. And we went into the record store scene right there at the table, and he loved it. And he loved it. Next thing I know, it was in the script. That's after flying to France on a supersonic jet, first class.
Susannah, you seem to be having memories about this yourself. You want to share?
Well, I was with Jerome at that time. Jerome and I spent a lot of time together. We were very, very, very close, and I watched the whole thing unfold. Jerome's relationship with Prince was very, 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 very tight, and Jerome had a way of getting a real. I mean, Jerome had a way of getting Prince relaxed and present in the moment, and just enjoying life in the moment. there weren't many people, if at all, who could do that. And Jerome really helped, I think, Prince feel safe to explore all of these sides of himself, because he knew he could always go back to being connected to Jerome. And I was there, I mean, I was having my own personal relationship with Prince and also my working relationship. But at the time, I was supposed to be the lead in Cherry Moon. And that all changed dramatically for many reasons. But the scene that Jerome's talking about, having dinner with Christian Scott Thomas, and he and Prince together, I was back at the hotel when I heard all of this stuff happen. So, but Jerome has a very unique relationship with Prince. I say that as if it's happening now, but it's true. But was really profound. And I mean, I used to even go to Jerome and say, "What do you think he thinks?" And he would,
I remember that. Yeah.
Many times it would be like, he would be the one to interpret certain things that would elude me, and he would say, "No, you
Prince
don't."
Whisperer.
Huh?
He was the Prince Whisperer.
I didn't feel like a whisperer. I just
made him
I was
feel
just in touch. I was just in touch with him.
a
I
real
mean, it definitely shows up in Under the Cherry Moon. I think that the chemistry on camera between the two of you is electric and funny and entertaining, but intense. Like a real brotherhood came through.
Well,
And I think a lot of that has to do with Jerome, because Jerome helped Prince be present as an actor. Jerome has a natural ability, and I don't know if Prince would have had that natural ability to gauge his own performance off of if he didn't have Jerome to look to. Jerome helped him do that. I mean,
That's awesome insight.
like an Academy Award performance from him, but it's like, but
I got the strawberry.
you, I'm talking about Prince.
That's all right. I got an award. There's people who ain't getting nothing.
That's true.
For real, like you really helped him figure out how to do it and you really, you kind of, without saying you held his hand, but you were in a very big way, very, you nurtured that side of him to just let loose, to play.
He helped me with a different confidence level in this artistic world that we're in. I came to him as an athlete, and athletes are hard-headed knuckleheads, and I was definitely that. And over the years of being with him and the years of not being with him, I never had a grudge towards him for anything that he's done has done, and I appreciate him turning that light on in my spirit, and each day I enjoy the opportunity to be able to create, the scripts, the imagery, and be able to be in this journey for the last 40 years of favor. And ta-da, I'm happy to be here, with these guys. I was in 3 different groups of Princes, 3 different groups. Eric has me outnumbered. So
I love it. Thank you so much, Jerome.
Jerome,
Appreciate you being here.
I do have one question for Jerome, actually. I was just thinking,
Go ahead, Robin.
so the projects that you're working on, you're just primarily writing, you're not going to be doing any acting in them? Because I asked you this once at one of the Purple Paisley brunches. I asked you, you are such a great comedic actor. Like, are you ever going to do more of that? Because we would love to see that. So in the projects that you're working on, are you actually going to be in them acting or just writing?
I do have one project. It's a stage play that I will be starring in or cameoing in. I'll be starring in it, and it's a really, really cool piece. It's a 6-letter word, a 5-letter word, and I'm not telling you anything else.
Okay.
but but I will shine.
I'm like,
I'm sure you will. We know you will.
It's an amazing, amazing script. Again, my partner, he's honed me in on some really cool writing technique, and he was part of Sanford and Son, Red Fox Show, 227, My Brother and Me, Good Times, The Jeffersons, uh, uh, all kinds of stuff, all Cooley High, all that stuff. He wrote with Eric Monte, and I think I garnered a great friendship and mentorship from this gentleman. His name is Alunga Edel. And I had recently met another gentleman who, like, as Susannah's involved with an animation, and his name is Greg Manningberry, and an amazing dude. To sit on the phone with him, and we just bounce back and forth on ideas. And the animation world is tough. The animation world is tough, and my hat's off to you, Susannah. You make it in that, you made it. You made it. It's amazing.
It's not, it's not, nothing's come to fruition yet. It's all work in progress.
Right. And I stay elusive with the things that I'm doing, simply because there's so many bad farmers out there. They want to kill your crop. So I just keep it to myself. And my team with Jill and Tanya, they help me stay focused and stay safe with who I am, what I've done, and where I'm going. And I appreciate these ladies dearly.
So, Maury, do we want to take? I know, Jerome, you still have to leave. I know the football game is still going. Do we want to have
the game messing with y'all?
But aren't we pleasant company? I mean, we're trying.
In my days of singularity, yes, y'all would have been fun to be hanging around with.
You did hang out with us one time,
have some stories, but we're
gonna bring up old stuff. But you did hang out with us one time, Jerome. And actually, Paul was there too. That's pretty cool.
In my days of singularities.
In your backsliding days, Jerome, we were around.
We were around. We're not that young.
I am. I'm 25.
Then I'm
27 myself. Right. So, Robin, do we have a question from the audience for Jerome before he gets out of here?
Yeah, I would just let's see, not in my notes, but if anybody wants to come on and ask a question really fast, raise your hands. I'm gonna look and see.
Gotta go watch my cousin play.
Okay, we're gonna let you go.
Come on, get them hands up. I don't see no hands.
D'Angela's in the audience. Hey, D'Angela.
Hey, D'Angela.
D'Angela, you want to come on and talk to Jerome?
Where's D'Angela?
Yes.
Hey, D'Angela.
Hey, D'Angela.
I don't know if you can see me. I'm in the dark. Hi, Jerome. So I wanted to know if that 5-letter word was yount.
Nah. Nah. I'm going to use that in the play.
Can you tell me what that means, yount? I always wondered, did it signify something?
It means you're out your head. Why are you saying something like that to me? How dare
Lame
you?
brain.
Lame brain. Get up. Come on.
Got it.
So you say that to your grandkids and they're going to look at you crazy. I'm going to be a grandfather in April.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Paw Rome Medome.
Congratulations.
All right.
Man, that's great.
I got to get a little more grouchy here, though.
By the way, Julie Rose says hello to you before you bump out. Jerome.
Paul, it's good to see you. Susannah, great to see you. Eric, F you. No, I'm just kidding. Good to see you, my man. Tell Alan I say hello too.
Thank you, Jerome.
And Robin, Dr. Eve, GDP, Greg Morrison with your quiet ass. I don't know who you are, but I'll say See ya when I see ya.
Bye, Jerome.
You'll see
Thank
us
you.
again. Thank you so much for your time.
Bye-bye. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good
Bye-bye.
night.
See you, Ro. Yeah, I just want to
Okay,
let you guys
so
know we're out in about 15.
Yes, thank you, Paul. We
So
got
I'm
your
gonna let
message.
you know.
Thank you.
Robin, I have
Yes,
a question. Dr. Maury,
Yes.
I do have a question.
Go ahead, Tanya.
For those, Susannah, Paul, Eric, for those who don't know, I'm Tanya Giddens. I am the creator of the Purple Paisley Brunch, as Robin mentioned before. So hello, everybody.
Hey,
Hello,
how are
everyone that
you?
is tuning in. I have a question for Eric. Now, I am nosy, and I'm seeing that you have stacks of vinyl behind you. My question to you is this: how much of that vinyl has influenced your playing of music?
All of it. I mean, it's mostly jazz and Afro-Cuban music with funk.
Oh, now let me find out Afro-Cuban. Okay. Who's your favorite?
That's my favorite music in the world.
Really?
The last playing that I happened to have done before COVID shut down everything was last March, when Eddie Palmieri was in town and I was playing with him. Eddie Palmieri is my favorite living musician in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just my biggest musical hero in the world, and is probably on a level with me that Miles Davis and Coltrane and James Brown and Ray Charles are. But to me, Afro-Cuban salsa, you know, Eddie and the cats who play that music don't really like the name salsa. As Eddie Palmieri always says, my music is not a condiment.
Work.
You know,
Okay.
it's Afro-Cuban music. To me, it is the perfect music. It was funk before there was funk. It's the original funk music.
Nice.
Everything else came after that.
Are you planning to do an Afro-Cuban album? I'm old. I say album. I'm sorry.
No, not in itself, because in order for me to do that, I'd have to be in New York, and I'm not in New York.
Stay with me. I'm based in New York.
All right, I'll take you up on. But that music informs a lot of what I have done on my own records. So
that's hot.
So it's always going to be a part of what I do. Yeah.
Hey, I want to share something with you. I got to spend 6 months with this guy over here making the LP music record, and I felt like a kid in a candy store. Literally having Eric Leeds play saxophone right behind me for 6 months. It was one of the greatest times in my life. You are one of the most talented, naturally gifted knuckleheads I've ever met in my life, and I miss you.
Well, to that extent, I really have to say this. When I knew Paul and Susannah back when we were in the family, all they were the singers in the group I was in. You know, I'm hate to say this, I'm substantially older than they are. And my role in that band was just to play the saxophone. And at that point, I just knew Paul as a 19-year-old kid who was the lead singer. And then after that project went sideways, Paul and I didn't have any reason to have any interaction with each other for many, many years. And when many years later, when we thought about putting the thing back together and doing the album that became Gaslight, only then did I really realize the musician that Paul is, and Susannah. And when Paul and I put this project together that we call LP Music, it's a play on words. It's Leeds Peterson, but it also means LP is in long playing. You see all that vinyl? That's that's what LP means.
Nice.
Working with Paul, I realized that he has a vocabulary in the music that can work with where I come from to a degree that I have never experienced with any other musician I have ever worked with. And I mean that. I mean, Prince and I made music together, but I've never made music the way I want to make music and the way it works with anybody in a daily situation, making an album with Paul. Paul has a vocabulary in this music that's incredible. The crazy thing about it is Paul didn't know shit about this music. No, I'm serious.
right.
He didn't know.
He's
He didn't
right.
know. You know, really, he doesn't, because all of the references that I have because of this library of mine, and being immersed in this music, you know, since basically when I was growing up in the late 50s and discovering Ray Charles. Paul can pick up a guitar and all of a sudden he's playing things and I'm just saying, man, where'd you, that sounds like some John Abercrombie shit. And he's looking at me, who? You know, and what I love about that is that there are no filters. So it just comes out of him. And I can make good music by myself, but I can get, you know, after a while, I know what I'm going to do. And, you know, what I want is the opportunity to be with people that are going to, you know, Paul can do something and I'll hear that. And I said, well, I could have done that, only I didn't. You know, so what it means then is, how do I react to that? And there was just a certain vibe and a harmonic vocabulary that is able to bring things out of me that normally I really wouldn't do that unless I'm working with him. And basically, you know, I had the opportunity to work in the studio with Prince an awful lot. But as far as the music that I play and my aspirations as a musician and my ability to realize that what I want to do, Paul's the cat.
Wow.
I mean, I got to tell you, you know.
Did you know that, Paul?
I've never heard him say that. I mean,
you look shocked.
I am a little bit in shock. I will say that Eric and I, he's like my older brother, you know, I mean, and he is to Susannah as well. But we've been able, I mean, he comes over for holidays and because he's here. And I genuinely love that guy. He's just become one of my dearest buddies. And
all you want me for the holidays is for my cookies.
The cookies. That's right. Give me them cookies. And I'll tell you what, during COVID, he doesn't go out of the house. You know what he did? Thanksgiving, Christmas, he delivered the cookies. That's
I bring
right.
you cookies.
You brought me to cookies. But sitting in that studio with you doing LP music was, I'm telling you, I was like a little kid going, that's Eric Leeds behind me for 6 months, just playing great. And we had a ball. It was a
no, it really was. It was every day coming into the studio. It was like, you know, I'm not a fast starter on any given day. Getting up and out of bed and doing, you know, takes me a few hours before I decide that I actually want to get up and do anything today. But going into the studio with Paul every day, I look forward to that. I really did, because it gave me the opportunity to see what I was going to do. And that's, you know, and when you know, and for musicians, if you can find somebody in your life like that, it's worth its weight in gold. I mean, I've had that relationship with other people in the past. You know, my closest, dearest friend for many years was a drummer that I grew up with in Pittsburgh, and we had bands together, and he passed away several years ago. But the other thing about Paul is that he's got the technical abilities also, as far as recording abilities and everything, because he's like the chief, you know, he's the chief cook and bottle washer. Not only because his talents and abilities for dealing with Pro Tools and all that stuff, it enables us to instantaneously get out what it is that we're trying to do. And you know, that
is a luxury, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it really
is. We can't hear you, Susie. You're muted.
So one of my favorite facts about Eric, you were not a Prince fan coming into all of this.
Maurice, wait, Maurice, Susannah was going to say something.
Oh, Susannah's going to say something. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Susan.
It's only important that it just says that Paul is the key engineer of all of the projects that we do. He's a genius in the studio. So
just because I know how to do it, that's, I mean, it's, you know me, I can't sit still. I think I'm highly caffeinated.
Do it because of that of necessity. There's it out of necessity.
Well, it's kind of like the equivalent. You know, we always used to hire the guy that had the PA system in the band.
Right.
You know, it didn't matter if he couldn't play. He had the PA system. We need him. So we got Paul there. He knows how to push the buttons. We need him.
Yes. Yeah. And all the years I've been in the studios, I mean, sitting in the studio in my father's lap as a little girl, as a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, I still like, yeah, you can leave me in the studio if you remind me how to edit a Pro Tools vocal. But you know what? For really,
You
like,
did it. I taught you how to do it, and you did. I was like, damn it, Susannah, you're editing your own vocal, and you did a great job.
I did, but still, ask me if I remember. No, I don't. It's in
It'd
your
come right back to you.
Dr. Maury, I'm sorry. I do have one more question because I have to leave myself. Quick question to Susannah, Paul, and Eric. Can you just give us just a Reader's Digest version? Because I'm curious as to the night you guys played First Avenue, that one-off. What was that like? Susannah, ladies first.
We've been rehearsing for months and months and months and months and months. So we were really ready for it. It was a great moment. I just have one story that Prince but right before I was going to go, I think I was backstage. He comes backstage with a stuffed animal. And this is just before we're going to get on stage. And he says, I want to talk to you for a second. I said, sure. He's like, okay, I've got something for you. And I want you to take it up on stage with you. And I want you to go crazy on it. And I was like, and I'm looking at him. And he's got this stuffed animal in his hand. And I was like, with the stuffed animal? And he was like, I want you to take the stuffed animal. And I want you to wrestle it on the floor. I want you to just go nuts and go crazy on this thing. I was like, you're asking me to go what? To do what? I was like, this is the first gig we're doing, and you're going to ask me to go wrestle a stuffed animal on the stage? Is that really what you're asking me to do? And he was like, yeah. He said, you just got to let go. Just let it all loose. Just go crazy. He goes, scream, writhe, go, just, get on top of this thing. And that's what he left me with. That was my pep talk for my first show. Ooh. On that, to do that. And so I did not.
Suze, what you never knew was that he came to me and said the same thing.
No. Did he bring you a stuffed toy?
We gave Prince $100 a piece and said, please, will you just tell Susannah to go crazy on the stuffed animal?
You know what? You fuckers, I bet you would have. But it was to trip me up a bit, which it did not.
Yeah.
No.
He wanted to see what I was made of. That was one of his ways of seeing if I could get the deeper meaning behind what he was asking me to do, which was let go. Mm. And I took that and unleashed it even further. And I've always taken that every time I'm on stage. The only way you can actually walk off the stage knowing you've done your job is if you've completely let go and be as present as possible. No matter what, no matter if you look like a fool, wrestling a stuffed animal, screaming at the top of your lungs, if it's coming from the most authentic place and you're letting go and you've won. And so I got exactly what he said, but that was my first experience of my pep talk right before getting on stage, literally minutes. I've got something for you. Come outside. I want to talk to you. I'm like, what? Stuffed animal about this.
I'll be brief with mine. I mean, I was in 2 bands that rehearsed for probably a total of 3 years to do 2 gigs.
Right.
I did 1 gig with the time, one. And then they broke up. And then I did 1 gig with the family. But the prep was college. The prep was college for me, literally. For me, I learned arranging, producing, marketing, styling, choreography, which was not easy for this long, lanky kid. Trust me.
Still isn't.
Video. That's why do you think I sit still and play the bass, Eric? But really, and I didn't know that I was learning all that because I was in the moment and I was a kid. But I remember as soon as I got off stage, the first thing Prince did was he hugged me. He was like, "Oh my God!" I mean, I don't know what he said, but I absolutely remember that moment, and that was really cool. You know, to have the guy who's on top of the world in your corner like that. That was amazing.
That's hot.
Your turn.
Eric, what do you remember about the First Avenue show?
Yeah, we had a keyboard player. We had two keyboard players in the band. One was Jonathan Melvoin, Susannah's brother. And we had another guy who was playing keyboards, a guy named Billy Carruthers. Billy Carruthers is an absolutely very accomplished jazz pianist and is, you know, got quite a following in the hardcore jazz. In fact, Paul and Billy did something just recently together.
We did.
And Billy was very young, and he came into band because he knew Paul. And Billy was a hardcore guy, so he wasn't, you know, the rock and roll aspect of things was kind of like a little foreign to him. I remember
and the makeup
before,
was too.
Well, that was what I was gonna say. Right before we went on stage, Billy comes up to me and he's got this panic look on his face, and he said, Eric. And I said, Billy, what's wrong? He said, that woman over there, she wants to put makeup on me. And I said, Billy, welcome to rock and roll.
I spoiled it, didn't I? Oh,
That's what I remember.
Where you were going.
That's okay. That's okay.
Well, thank you for answering that question for me. I have to go. Robin and Maury, thank you for humoring me.
Absolutely, dear. Thank you so much for helping us out. We appreciate you.
As a thank you, Robin and Maury, you have comp tickets for the next Purple Paisley brunch event, March 5th.
Love you, sis. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening, everyone.
You too, Tanya. Be well, dear.
You too.
All right, so we know that our guests have to go, but Robin, I wanted to make sure you got your question in.
Okay, so I want to just know from all of you, was there a point or a moment of reckoning when you realized what a classic that first album was? Because for us little people out here, I was like 14, almost 15 when I got that album, and it just, I can't even tell you. I came home from school every single day and listened to it and listened to it and listened to it. And I had put this in the mission statement, but it was kind of like my introduction to jazz, honestly, because I was a teenager. I didn't really listen to much jazz, and it kind of was like a gateway for me. And like, even now when I listen to it, it still holds up, and it's still so unique and so interesting and so funky and so like youthful and fun. I just want to know, was there like a moment for you where you realized like, wow, people still really love this project years later?
Let me start, because then I'm going to drop it over to you.
She's on this side for me.
Is she over? Okay. On this, she's this side to me. First of all, for me, that record was funky. It was my shot along with these guys, right? But what made that record so unique, besides the brilliant songwriting, was Claire Fisher, in my humble opinion. I think that is what made, in my opinion, I think that's what made that record such a standout. And that's her fault, whatever side of the screen she's on. And I want you to, I don't know how you went about convincing him to do that. I mean, but you should share that story, because that was a home run.
Well, because Prince and I were listening to a lot of Rufus back then, and all those string arrangements, those Rufus records, were done by Claire Fisher. And we were in the car and talking about this record and how amazing it would be if it had strings on it. And I said, why don't we get Claire Fisher to do it? And he just sort of looked at me. And as if you know anything about my history, my father had worked with Claire for years and years and years and years. And they were very good friends. My father's a jazz piano player. Anyway, I was like, my father knows Claire. Let's just give Claire a call. And I called my father and I said, look, we're working on this project, on this record. do you think we could get a copy of the record to Claire? And he said, absolutely, Dolly. Called me Dolly. Absolutely, Dolly. So sent a tape to Claire, and that's really how it happened. It was through, how do we get in touch with Claire? And I was like, oh, my dad knows Claire, so I was like, called my dad, and that was it. Thank God for my pop, he was like, that was the guy.
God, did I love your pops. We had so much fun together when we were making the Gaslight record. In your little cove, in your entryway there, playing the piano, hanging out. What a great guy. What a talent, boy.
Yeah, I wish I had gotten to know Michael better, because it's probably a good thing for you that I didn't, because if I gotten to know Michael better, I think I would have said, maybe see if I can get a gig with Michael. Bye.
You know what? And he would have been so happy about that, Eric. He would have been like, come and play with me. Any $25 jazz gig, my father was, I couldn't believe it. And he would have just loved.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So I lied. One more question, because you're talking about Gaslight. So my favorite song on Gaslight is Over the Canyon.
Oh.
I love Over the Canyon. Maybe because it's my love life, but I love Over the Canyon. So could you talk a little bit about the roots of it? How did it come about? The orchestration of it, the arrangement of it?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned Over the Canyon, because we were trying to find a relationship with songwriting to the first record. We were trying to really knit a sort of like an older brother, older sister to that version of the first record. And Over the Canyon, when we started writing the music to that, we were thinking about that kind of musical sentimentality. We were trying to connect the dots. It turned into, once we got the track done, that it turned into me driving, where I would do this often. I drove up Laurel Canyon, which is just right from where we lived. And at the top of Laurel Canyon, I sat for a few hours and wrote the lyrics to Over the Canyon, which at the time was my love life. Literally, burned to the ground and just,
Finding yourself in the green. Yep.
Well, I want to say something about this too.
Yes.
Yes, I can program the computers. Yeah, I can play a couple of different instruments. But the brilliance of her lyrics are what made those songs. That is not me, and that's why we work well as a team. Butted head a couple times, just figuring out who we were with each other 25 years later. But that, I think, that angst or that exploration of who we were and who we were at that particular time was so integral in the music, and I think you can hear that.
What's interesting as a fan listening to it, Paul, honestly, it doesn't miss a beat. And it speaks to also, I think, what Prince may have seen that didn't come out necessarily in the first album. But Gaslight is dope. The harmonies, the orchestration around it, Lover.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Lover's another one. We were really trying to, and Eric, of course, we have to give Eric, because, when you're writing this way, and Eric wasn't in Los Angeles at the time, but there's such a great trust in sending a track that is the bones of a track, and then saying to Eric, for instance, Gaslight, at the time when I wrote Gaslight, the lyric to Gaslight, it's just, if you've been gaslit before, our nation has been for 4 years, what that, like when I send something like that to Eric and he goes, oh, it's one of my favorite old movies. And he knows exactly what I'm talking about. When you're going to do the horn arrangements on this, think of that. Like you got to find the gaslight in it. You got to find the whole emotional content of this particular track. And because that's how I speak and write music,
yes,
Eric completely understands that language. It's a language in itself.
I don't know what that says about us, but we do.
I know. I don't know what I
didn't get it, but you two did.
It's a gift, when you have
you're my Wayne Shorter.
I'm your Wayne Shorter. That's
Yes.
right. I write in colors and
metaphor.
synesthetic expressions. I don't write in theory. You know, I can't say take
No.
this in book 3. You know, we've
Look,
got.
I got to say to what Susan's saying, when we're getting, you know, thinking about getting back together. Once again, I had no, at that point, really any interaction on, certainly in this level, with either Paul or Suze. Suze I hadn't seen much of since the family broke up. And I had really no idea of what kind of songwriters either one of you really were. Paul, you had a good deal of success on your own stuff, but still in the context of this. And I told them, I said, basically, I said, look, if all you guys can do is come up with, you know, a family part 2, count me out, because I'm not interested in just a rehash of what that was that we were doing 25 years ago at the time. So I basically was just wait and see. Okay, we'll see what they bring, because if they bring something that I'm not into, I'm just going to tell them, hey, I'm not into this. Have fun. And immediately, and I think Over the Canyon was one of the first things I think that I got, was like, wow, where did this shit come from? You know, and realize that, okay, here are 2 people that now have lives that, you know, they've had husbands, they have wives, they have kids and everything. So they actually have stories to tell, which they weren't going to have when they were 19 years old necessarily. And that's what I knew them from. So the fact that they could bring me something that could maybe, once again, kind of, because all I can do is react to what they're doing. I'm the fly on the wall. That's basically, I'm the Greek chorus here. I'm just commenting on what's already there.
Yeah,
so
more than a fly on the wall, more of a Greek chorus. You know how to, it's like an invocation. It's like, you know how to call and response.
Well, that's all I can do is just, if I can put something in it, even if it's just 1 or 2 notes that can add something of value, then that's, you know, that's the enjoyment of that. And they were giving me some really cool stuff to work on. And one of the things that my favorite thing about Over the Canyon is I came up with a horn line. I thought, you know, instead of doubling the horn with myself, which sometimes I would do, I said, well, I would love nothing better than to have Suze sing this line with me, you know, and just doing something like that. That's something, you know, something different. It's cool. It's also, I mean, it also makes me sound very sexy.
But it is very sexy. It's like this tapestry that gets woven together. I'm thinking about Beautiful You, Lover, and like how
Beautiful You is
dovetails to Desire.
Yeah, but Beautiful You, that track is great.
I mean, it is gorgeous, sexy music. I remember I was on a road trip when I heard it for the first time. And I'm like, they didn't miss a beat. And and being that it was outside of Prince, I think that's what's so exciting, that there was, I'm going to bring you together in 85, but as you move forward and you do your own thing, there's still this magic that's there. And it's very tapestry. It's very coming together. The sounds, it's sexy, it's intimate. And I really appreciated it as a listener. And I really hope that you guys keep on creating more fDeluxe music, because it's growing and sexy, you know, and wanted and needed in many ways. I know that you have gone over, and from the Purple Paradigm to you as the family, fDeluxe, Susannah, St. Paul, Eric, we cannot thank you enough for being a stand for creativity, for being a stand for what's right with our world, with music, and bringing us so much joy, intimacy, and connection. I wish you each just continued success. And if there's anything the Paradigm can do to help promote, support, and lift the work that you're doing, Paul, I don't know if you got to put the chat, the event that you're putting in the chat, or you can email Robin and I. We'll definitely promote it on social media for you. Susannah and Eric, same on your end. Is there anything that you're doing that you would like for us to promote on your behalf? We will gladly do it. I'm just excited to see what's to come. Any final words for our audience?
Stay safe. Wear your mask.
Amen to that.
Yeah, wear your damn mask.
Don't don't let your guard down yet. We ain't there, and we want you around. We need you because the fact that you guys still are with us after all these years is not lost on any one of us. Trust me. We are. I'm blown away by that, and it's inspiring to me, and it's inspiring that you guys still give a shit and you listen and you still love what we do, and we wouldn't do it if it wasn't for you. So thank you guys.
One
Yeah,
of the best
particularly because some
albums of
of
my life.
some of y'all weren't even born when we did the family album.
It's true.
I was born.
I was born.
All right.
I was born. I'm telling you, one of the best albums of my life. But I also lived to see Gaslight. And Gaslight is just dope. That's like the grown, sexy version of the family.
It's true.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I'm around the same age as Paul, so I was there.
My little Paulie and my little Suze, they grew up right before my eyes.
Yes, they did.
Oh wait,
and your love is sanctified. I'm just saying.
Right, before I let Susannah go, Susannah, I just need to tell you this one silly little story of when I was a teenager and I went to school dressed in a pink satin pajama set that I got from the mall with like $30 from like, doing errands around the house. And I was so excited to finally wear this to school. And I went to school and everybody was like, why are you so dressed up? Is it your birthday? And I'm like, no, I'm dressed like Susannah from the family. And everybody was just like, you're a weirdo.
Oh, wow.
But that's how much I loved you guys. And I just loved you, Susannah. I just still love you.
Can I give my very quick memory?
They have
Go ahead, Zenzi. Go ahead, give you a quick one.
Okay,
in 2012, I went to BB King's in Manhattan, and you guys were opening for Sheila E. And as soon as you guys started saying, I kept looking at them like, wait a minute, I know who they are. But you were under fDeluxe, but like instantaneously.
Yeah, Maureen and I were at that show. We did a lot of screaming. We did a lot of reliving our youth.
It was a surprise. Was it a surprise that it was under fDeluxe? Because we're
because you didn't say anything until you did like the finale with Screams of Passion, but you hadn't said anything about who you were until the very end of the show.
Yeah.
So
no, I knew who you were. We knew. As a matter of fact, so I don't know, Susannah, if you remember, and actually Eric as well, you had a manager named Neil, and Neil introduced us. And when you played Paisley Park for one of the celebration shows, Neil Facebooked me. He's like, were you in the front? And I was like bopping around like a Muppet. Like, this music may it forever be continued, may it forever be like just played. Because it really is something that is really truly a gift. And I cannot express enough how much it means to us and the Purple Army. So I just wish you continued success. And thank you so much for hanging out with us on Super Bowl Sunday.
Thank you.
Hope we didn't take you away too much from your game. We know Jerome, it was really imperative for him. We knew when he said he had an hour, we
Jerome
knew
didn't
why.
want to miss the weekend, that's all. The group, the weekend.
Oh.
Is the weekend's playing the Super Bowl? Okay. Shows you how much I'm paying attention.
If this is the World Series, I wouldn't have been here.
That's right. My wife's upstairs. She's going, hey, love y'all. See you later. And my sis and my bro, I love you and miss you. I can't wait to play music with you again.
Yes,
shortly.
we all can't wait as well.
Love y'all.
Absolutely. We will be there, and anything we can do to support. So please do send that information forward. We want to give a shout out to Jeff James. Jeff, we know you're on here. We love you, brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah, let me just say that we're sorry Jelly Bean couldn't be with us. I think he was, he had family obligations today of his own, I think.
We love Jelly Bean, and I love the fact that Paul is rocking the shirt.
Come on.
So all four of you are here.
Jelly Bean, don't be so mean.
Hi, Tom Burno. I thought I saw you on here too. Love y'all. I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right,
Thank you
peace.
so much,
Thank
guys.
you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Susannah. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, St. Paul. Thank you so much. Purple Army, thank you.
So Tracy, if you're ready to take us out with some more tunes, that would be pretty awesome. And guys, if like our audience, our faithful audience that
Oh, the next show,
Here.
Robin. We got to talk about the next show.
Oh yeah. So we have to announce the next show. So basically, the next show is up to you guys. Okay. We constantly have great ideas, we think, but we want to know what you guys want from us. What do you want to see from the next Paradigm show? So I'm going to put a link in the chat, and you guys tell us via this Google form what you would like to see on the next show. And if it's possible to do it for you guys, we will make it happen. So the next show is going to be April 7th, and it's going to be whatever you amazing people who are faithful fans of the Paradigm want the show to be. Okay, so here it is. The Revolution. I don't know if we can get
The Revolution.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. I'm impressed with the family lineup.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
we did. You know what? With the Wendy and Lisa piece, to be honest with you, Purple Fam, we thought about. I personally love Eroica. That's my favorite Wendy and Lisa album, and I wanted a tribute to Eroica. So some ideas on the table that Robin and I have been talking about. So the Eroica idea is out there. We want to do a tribute to Vanity. It's another idea that we have on the table. And getting that going. But we also, as much as possible, we're so sorry tonight. We didn't realize that they had a shorter space of time to be with us. We definitely would have given more fans an opportunity to talk to the family. But there's always more time, and definitely keeping the connections alive. But it's a first go around with the family fDeluxe, so we'll definitely keep that going. But we want to make sure that our the fans are coming in and having access to the artist as well. So yeah, if there's any ideas that you have, Robin's going to drop the link in the chat.
I posted the link several times. So once we're done, I'm probably not going to look at the chat anymore. So all these great ideas that are coming through, please put them in the form, and we will review them in a couple of days and choose which we think we can do. I mean, honestly, just to let you all know, with each show, we are never really sure who we can get as guests, and we just try our best. And sometimes we're just like, okay, Prince must really be with us, because I didn't think that we would be able to get Susannah. And I must thank my friend Jeff. I don't know if he left already, but Jeff was like, how are you doing for getting Susannah? And I'm like, I don't know. And he was like, I know somebody. So Jeff hooked us up, and she was able to ask Paul.
Thank you,
then
Jeff.
I found Eric's email, and then I asked Tanya about getting Jerome. So it all kind of just came together. So, we'll try our best. Whatever we think we can do, we will try to do. Whatever we think we can't do, we'll still try to do, because the show is about you guys as it is as much about us and what we like. So and I just want to thank everybody for being such loyal patrons of what we're trying to do here. And yeah, I'm really sorry that they didn't stay on longer. I didn't realize that they were going to stay on for such a short time. But I guess it's been an hour and a half, so there you go.
Yeah, it takes a while to get warmed up, and it's we got there. It's cool.
It's all good in the hood. Oh wait,
with one more thing.
If anybody is interested, should I play my mission statement that I worked all day?
Go for it. Why this episode matters. Yes, go for it. Yes.
I literally did work on it all day, but I felt like the pressure that they wanted to leave, so I was like, let's just get into the questions. Okay. So,
go for it. Go for the mission statement.
All right, dears. Okay, let me share my screen.
Hello, it's Robin Shumays, and I'm here to present to you with the mission statement for tonight's episode entitled The Family Matters, exploring the influence and impact of the first Protégé Group album released on Paisley Park Records. Let me start by saying that pretty much everyone who knows me knows that the Family debut is one of my all-time favorite albums. I think the same is true for Dr. Morey. Released on August 19, 1985, most of the tracks for the Family were written by Prince, with the exception of River Run Dry, written by Revolution drummer Bobby Z. The songs Yes and Susannah's Pajamas were co-written by Prince and Eric Leeds. The lineup of the band featured Susannah Melvoin, St. Paul Peterson, Eric Leeds, Jellybean Johnson, and Jerome Benton. So, how did it all start? Basically, the family emerged like a phoenix from the fallout of the breakup of the time, of which Jelly Bean, Jerome, and Paul were members. Recording of the album for the family took place between 1984 and early 1985. By the end of 1985, the band was no more. However, the family became a bit of a cult classic among diehard Prince fans. I like to say that the family's debut is one of several crown jewels that manifested during a time period that most might consider Prince's golden age. The entire experience of pretty much everything Prince was doing at this point, I'd say between 83 and 88, was magical, and he was able to weave that magic through all of the talent in his camp. Even today, when I listen to this album, it takes me right back to that happy place that it put me when I first heard it more than 35 years ago. I've stated on many occasions that The Screams of Passion is one of the best songs Prince ever wrote. Now, you might want to fight me on that, but I will never back down from that opinion. Another absolute classic, obviously, is Nothing Compares to You. Now, I need to tell you a story about this one. I remember the day I walked into my first real job and one of my coworkers told me about this video she had seen on MTV that morning, by the girl with the buzz cut. They said it was written by your man Prince. Soon enough, I learned it was Sinead O'Connor's version of Nothing Compares to You. So I made a cassette recording for that coworker and I gave it to her a few days later and said, Sinead's version sucks. I hate it. This is the real version of this song. And I know I've said this before, but I've always been really passionate about my musical opinions. But honestly, 30 years later, and I still feel the same way. In 1985, reviewer Jim McGee of the Sunday Morning Post called the family's version a masterpiece, and I agree. The jazz fusion pieces by Prince and Eric Leeds were my gateway into an appreciation for jazz. Despite being labeled as a distinctly Minneapolis throwback, the family's debut was so much more than that. This album marks a distinct turning point and expansion of Prince's sound and includes many firsts. So why is this important? In addition to being the first Protégé album released on Paisley Park, it was the beginning of Prince's long-standing working relationship with Claire Fisher and the utilization of Claire's string instruments. It was the first Prince-related album containing experimental funk jazz instrumentals, a precursor to Madhouse. Prince handed over the reins to David Z to complete production of the album, which marks the first time he used a producer for one of his projects. In an earlier episode of The Paradigm with Andre Simone, I noted that before the cruel reality of the events of last summer, I had this image of Minneapolis as this racial utopia where everyone just lived harmoniously and made music all day. Part of that image came directly from the portrait Prince painted of the revolution and the family. It's always been a bit interesting to me as I've grown more enlightened about jazz at how integrated the genre was when the rest of the country was not. And I've wondered if there was some hidden message or connection as to why Prince chose this very integrated band to begin experimenting with jazz styles. But that's another topic for another show. So in 2011, the family reformed as fDeluxe, and I could not have been happier. Maury and I finally got to see them live in 2012, where we screamed our living heads off. The thing is, these are solid musicians in their own right, and when they joined forces again, they created more incredible music. If you have not heard their debut or their more recent releases, please give them a listen, as this is a band that deserves to be heard. And as soon as we are all free to gather again in person, let's all go see them perform live. I am so happy to welcome them here tonight, one of my all-time favorite bands, The Family / fDeluxe. Thank you.
The family matters.
Family matters.
The family matters.
Except they gone.
It's okay. They're going to see that. Don't worry about it. They showed up, and I'm proud that they showed up. I'm happy they showed up. Nice job, Robin, on the mission statement.
Thank you.
All right, fam. So we're gonna close out with DJ Monday. You're welcome to hang out as long as you like. Of course, let us know what you're thinking about in terms of shows. This is about, like, the family was one of those purple nerdy moments. If you on here, you love the family. You just love you. We know what you was doing in '85. We know what you was doing. So it's that kind of momentum that we want to keep. And thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your love. You know, Prince has taught us so well. And I'm excited to know that even in his passing, we still get to be together. We still get to connect around the music and share a passion, because it certainly is. So with that, DJ Monday, whenever you're ready to take us out, you're welcome to do so. Purple Fam, you're welcome to hang out for as long as you like.